Hi everyone, how is it going? In today's episode, I would love to share with you the tutorial of this bucket bag. This is a simpler version of this kind of bag because we're not gonna use any hardware. The measurement of this bag is approximately 8 inches wide by 13 inches long. The fabric that I chose for this project is my usual favorite, which is the quilt weight cotton fabric. However, you can also use canvas fabric or tapestry fabric. On the upper top here I use the MICROSUEDE fabric. You can also use something like faux leather or FUSIBLE or the actual leather or suede, but you may want to choose something that is lightweight just to make it easier for you to sew. So I think this is a really fun bag for you to try and make, and I hope you enjoy this tutorial. And as always, if you have any question, let me know in the comment down below. I would gladly answer you. So without further ado, let's get started. Prepare your fabric. I'm using this lovely quilt weight fabric in daisy flower print. I got this one from Joanne. Then we're gonna draw a circle. I'm gonna use this ball as a template. The diameter of this ball is about 8 inch. So you may use any other object. I recommend to stay between 8 and 9 inch range of diameter to have this look, otherwise your bag may be a little too small or a little too big. If you have a software such as Illustrator or Photoshop or even Microsoft Word, you can simply print that out on a piece of paper. Once you've done drawing the circle, we're going to cut this. I recommend using this craft or applique scissor because it has that curvy blade. If you notice that, it's a lot easier to cut circle shape with this scissor. Alright, so this is gonna be the base of the bag, and now we're gonna go ahead and prepare the interfacing. I recommend to use double interfacing for this project. As always, actually, if you have seen my other tutorial, we're gonna use the FUSIBLE woven interfacing and the FUSIBLE fleece. And of course, you want to cut them in exact measurement. Now we're gonna fuse the woven interfacing first. So lay your fabric wrong side up and then lay your FUSIBLE interfacing glue side down. The coarser side is the glue side, so it feels like a sandpaper. Then you want to set your iron on cotton setting with the steam and fuse that in place. If you have a pressing cloth, it may be a good idea to use that as well. And once you've done that, go ahead and fuse the FUSIBLE fleece in the same manner. To determine the size of the body of your bag, we're going to do a little bit of math. So you want to have the diameter of the base times 3.14. In this case, since my base panel is measuring 8 inch in diameter, so my calculation will be 8 times 3.14, which gives me the result of 25.12, which is about 25 1/8 of an inch. So I cut my panel 25 1/8 of an inch wide and 10 inch long. And also, I already cut the interfacing for this. Again, we're gonna use the FUSIBLE woven interfacing. I recommend using 2 layers. This is just to add extra body for your bag without making it too stiff, so it's still gonna drape like a fabric since we are using woven interfacing. So go ahead and fuse them to your fabric, and this is how it's gonna turn out. For the upper body panel and the strap, we're going to use this MICROSUEDE fabric in brown color. I also got this one from Joanne actually. Again, as I mentioned on the intro, you may substitute this with faux leather or suede, anything that has that leathery look and that will not fray. That's very important. So you may want to choose the one that is lightweight or easier sewing. And you do not need that many of these. A 1/4 yard will be sufficient for this project. So go ahead and cut 25 1/8 of an inch by 4 inch strip out of this. Lay the upper and lower body pieces right side together. Secure them in place with some fabric clips. Then go ahead and sew with 1/2 inch of seam allowance. I highly recommend using your walking foot to do this job. And for the needle, I use the universal needle size 90/14. Once you've done sewing, we are going to press the seams open. However, we're not going to use the iron for this job because this is a leathery kind of fabric. So I'm going to use my Hera marker instead and just slowly press the seams here with the edge of my Hera marker. And once you've done that, go ahead and top stitch this. Then you want to fold this in half and sew with 1/2 inch of seam allowance. Next, we're going to join this base panel to the bottom part of the body panel. So we're going to use some fabric clips to secure this in place. Just take your time because this may be a little tricky. You may want to place your fabric clips close to each other because this is curvy area. Alright, so I have already secured my base with some clips here. So we're going to sew this all around with 1/2 inch of seam allowance. So since this is kind of tricky part to sew, you may want to take your time and sew this rather slowly. As you can see here, I took off the sleeve of my sewing machine and now I'm going to place my fabric and start sewing slowly but surely. And I start a little bit off from the side seam, so I'm letting the side seam to be the last to be stitched. Just in case I ended up with excess fabric, I can always adjust that through the side seams without having to start all over again. I actually did ended up with excess fabric, just a little bit. It was only 1/4 inch. So what I did, I simply fold my side seam, just adjust it according to whatever excess, and then continue stitching. And it's hardly noticeable at all. Now, to make sure that this bag gonna lay flat when we turn this inside out, I recommend using a pinking shear, and then you want to trim this seam allowance off. So you want to get as close to the edge as possible, but be careful not to cut through the stitches. And if you don't have a pinking shear, you can also use normal scissor. So you want to simply cut the edges just like so, 1/4 inch apart. You want to cut as close as you can to the stitch line, but not through the stitches. And you want to do this all around. Now you want to go ahead and turn this back inside out and poke the corners with your fingers there. And alright, I think it's looking great so far. So we're going to recreate the same thing for the lining. Cut the same diameter circle, and then for the body you want to cut 25/8 of an inch by 12 inch. This is going to result your lining to be a slight shorter. Now if you want to add pocket for this bag, this is the time to do it. You can do slip pocket or zipper pocket. It's totally up to you. You can always refer to my previous tutorials. I've made so many projects with zipper pocket and slip pockets as well. For the strap, we're going to cut a 50 by 4 inch strip of fabric. You may simply adjust the length of the strap if you want yours to be shorter or longer. Now we're going to fold this strap in half. Then I want to press the folded edge with my Hera marker. Open the fold, and then you want to fold one of the edge towards the center fold, just like so. And then again you want to press that with your Hera marker. Then you want to do the same with the other side. Now you want to go ahead and fold this in half again. Then you want to use your sewing clips to secure that in place. Then you want to go ahead and sew this all around with 1/8 of an inch of seam allowance. Now that we've got our strap ready to go, we're going to attach this to the back. Take the outer shell of your bag. We're going to sew this on the sides of the bag, so I'm just gonna start where the side seam is. So this is how we're gonna position our strap, about an inch down from the seam in between the upper panel and the bottom panel. Since we can't really pin this kind of fabric, it's gonna make an obvious hole, so I'm just gonna use a basting spray here just to spray a little bit. Now go ahead and place that on where you intend it to be. Then go ahead and sew 2 lines to secure this in place. So I simply use the edge of my walking foot here as the gauge, since we can't really see the seam allowance. So you want to stitch back and forth for at least 3 times to make sure everything is secure. So this is how mine turned out. And now you want to go ahead and do the same with the other side. So I've already done mine here. Looking good. To make the string, you're going to cut a 2-inch strip from your main fabric. So simply cut from one selvage end to another selvage end. So we're going to make a 1/2 inch strap out of this. So the first thing you're gonna do, go to ironing board and press 1/2 inch from the edge. Just like so. Do the same with the other side. You may want to turn off the steam of your iron so you won't burn your finger. Now fold this strip in half and press. Then you want to fold one of the edge towards the center fold and press, and do the same with the other side. Then you want to fold this piece again in half and press. Now sew this strip all around with 1/8 of an inch of seam allowance. Now we're going to cut some slits on the upper panel of the back here to thread the string. I'm using some painter's tape here to make the mark, just so you can see it clearly here. So you want to put your mark 1/2 inch away from the seam here and about 2 inches away from the side, and the other one is 2 inches away as well. And then I want to measure from the other side 2 inches and leave the gap in between here just to make sure they are centered and even. Then you want to do the same with the back side. So I'm going to use my seam ripper to cut this. So just start from the center where the painter's tape is. So the width of your slits should be about 3/4 inch. This way your string will have enough room to wiggle. Let's see. Now I'm gonna do the other one and pull the painter's tape away. Next we are going to attach the lining to the back. So have your back right side out and insert the lining wrong side out. So the wrong side of your lining should be touching the wrong side of your back. So your exterior shell should be 1/2 inch longer at this point. So you wanna fold that in just like so, and then secure that in place with a fabric clip. Do that all around, and then you want to go ahead and sew this with 3/8 of an inch of seam allowance. Alright, so now that we've sewn the lining, next we are going to thread the string into the back. So take a safety pin and attach that to one of the end of the strap, and then you wanna insert this into the slit starting from the center, from the front, either side, it's no problem. And then you want to push your safety pin to the next slit and then pull that out, and then insert that to the next one, and then you wanna keep going until you will go back to the front. Alright, so the back is pretty much done at this point. Now pull the string, and you may wanna train the back a little bit to drape the way you want it to. And once you're happy with the look, go ahead and tie the string, and voila, you have yourself a new bag that you will enjoy throughout this season. And that's all I have for you today, guys. Thumbs up if you like this tutorial, and I shall see you next time with another fun sewing project. Goodbye!